Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcasting is Praxis. David's not around this week, so you're going to have to do basically with the three of us. Hi, I'm Rob, and my pronouns are he and him.
I'm Jamie, my pronouns are he and him.
And I'm Alistair, my pronouns are also he and him.
Hooray. And, this was my pick. We're doing cultural committee. This is
Rob's fault.
Yeah, this is all my fault.
Rob's fault. Yeah.
Yes. So I watched this a while ago. We're going to be talking tonight about 2024's Twisters, which is, of course, the sort of sequel to the original Twisters, which, the world was simply clamoring for follow-ups of that particular movie.
Well, no, the original one was just called Twister, because they did the aliens thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if instead
Oh,
of
yeah,
Twister,
yeah,
there
you're
was
right.
already,
There
was already multiple Twisters in the first film, as I remember, so it's kind of shit. Like, James Cameron should sue.
Yeah.
James Cameron should shoot.
You should shoot, yeah. I watched Twisters, but like I didn't think that much of it. Like, but I also watched like fucking Captain America. Han Solo was the Hulk now, and that was shit. But Rob cried like when I suggested doing it. So you know.
I can't be dealing with fucking any more Captain America or like Marvel.
Have you considered that Han Solo turns into the Hulk?
Yeah, but critically, does he fucking utter while being the Hulk?
Well, you'd have to watch it to find out. But that was a dreadful film. But it does have fucking Gus Fring from Breaking Bad in it as some kind of like fucking super mercenary, and he was having a fucking party. Like, I would watch a film just about him as like Snake Man or whatever the fuck he was called, because he was cool as shit. Everyone else in the film, like fucking, do you know what I mean? D-, try harder. But he was just swinging for the fences, and I appreciate it. Like,
so this one, 2024's Twisters, is directed by Lee Isaac Chung, but I think maybe more importantly, it's executive produced by Steven Spielberg. I think this is more to his alternate. Yeah, but I think this is more, close to his alternate form known as Senor Spielbergo. I'm fairly honest, because it's like...
I mean, it did feel like very fucking Spielbergian, actually, now that I think about it, in that, like, not much fucking happened, and, like, you know what I mean? And, like, like, not a lot, there wasn't much in the way of, like, major plot, and the fucking whole point of the film was just, like, isn't it nice when everyone's nice to each other? Like,
well, I mean, there are a few plot beats that
the
like
real Twisters were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. It's like,
I mean, to me, the main point of this movie is mainly about like traumatizing and then making one blonde American woman like relive her trauma just like over and over again for really no good reason whatsoever.
Rob, you've got this film completely wrong, and I'm going to drop a huge bombshell on the two of you, because the actual premise of this film is that...
It's a metaphor for the Troubles.
No, even better than the Troubles. The main premise of this movie is that a woman gets bitten by a radioactive tornado that causes her to accidentally summon tornadoes whenever she goes to Tornado Alley. And the entire film is about her overcoming this terrible, debilitating illness.
Yeah, that's pretty true, actually. Like,
I mean, it is. I mean, she is. This is the lead. She's called Kate something or other, played by Daisy Edgar Jones, and she is essentially like she's the Twister.
I was like
the Twister druid.
I was like 2/3 of the way through this film before I realized she wasn't the woman from Madam Web. I don't know why the fuck I thought that. She doesn't even look that much like her, but I was just like,
no, she really
the film
doesn't.
started, and I was like, all right, oh, cool, Madam Web's in this, and then I watched like 2/3 of it, and then my brain went like, I don't know who that is, actually. Do you know what I mean? It's not Madam Web. I know that much. So,
I thought for the longest time it wasn't actually her. I thought it was the Kiernan Shipka from the Sabrina remake. For the longest time, and Mad Men. I really thought it was her.
Would it shock you to know I have no idea who that is? Like, I haven't seen the Sabrina remake. It's on my watch list, obviously, but I haven't got to it yet. Like, I'm going to get through.
Yeah, but she's also in Mad Men, which is like the other place you might know her from.
I haven't watched that either.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, she is in this movie, but only for the first 5 minutes.
We watched one episode of Mad Men, and Dawn decided she didn't like it. She's not a big fan of telly where the main character's a dipshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, but no, she didn't get on with Mad Men, and do you know what I mean? I couldn't be asked to watch it on my own.
Don't get on with Mad Men either. I can't be asked with any of them. But like,
yeah, but like, it was the same with Breaking Bad, but that I did watch on my own because I really liked the first episode of that. Mad Men, I just sort of felt like I was going to be tested on it later. Do you know what I mean? Like, I watched the first episode of that, and I didn't feel like it was particularly like gripping, but I felt like, oh, this is going to be the sort of thing where everyone's going to expect me to have watched this, and I'm going to get questioned on it later, and I didn't bother. But the good thing about Breaking Bad is that it had the fucking mercenary dude from Captain America, like fucking Red Hulk, like throws a fucking wobbler in it,
playing Solid Snake. Yeah.
That was good. That guy's going places. I think like he was in Far Cry 4 or something. They should bring him back for like Far Cry 9 or whatever they're on to now.
Yeah. Anyway, trying to drag us back into this movie, because I too, Alistair, have a grand unified theory of this movie, but it will come back. I'll come to that in a little bit later. But we start essentially with a sort of preamble where a gang of 5. I thought at first they were teenagers, but I think they're pretending to be like college students, but they're all like. Kate, Daisy Edgar Jones, is playing herself, but 5 years younger, and it's just like it does that thing where like fully grown adults play like young college students, and it doesn't work at all.
Okay, but
they're meant to be like high school students, aren't they? And you can tell that because of the way her hair is up.
I don't know. I was like, you know what I mean? I used to watch fucking telly in the 90s, so I'm fully used to like 40-year-old like fucking men playing high schoolers and shit like that, you know what I mean? Like that was just how telly worked back then. No one was going to pay like for the fucking fees you needed to get like child actors or whatever, so it was you could have child actors, but teenagers it was like, no, fuck that. We need a 16-year-old, fucking get like Luke Perry, someone called Perry. Dave Perry. Dave Perry, the games animal from Games Master. They got him in to play a high schooler in like fucking Beverly Hills.
Are you not talking about well-known heartthrob of Beverly Hills 90210, Luke Perry?
Yeah, I was, but I couldn't remember. Which Perry was.
The best in category for this is when in Always Sunny they just have Danny DeVito put on a wig. To play his like teenage self. It's all in the hairstyle, which ties in.
The preamble is this. It's this gang of 5, convincing teenagers.
It's what if Scooby-Doo had to chase a tornado instead of like a fucking, do you know what I mean, theme park owner dressed as a ghost.
I mean, it is very. This movie is very Scooby-Doo, like minus the dog.
It's like, should have had a dog in this, really. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. What is a tornado?
Good disaster films need a dog, like fucking, that one with the lava-proof dog that we all love.
You mean Dante's Peak or the other one?
I mean Dante's Peak. I live for people telling me Dante's Peak is good. Actually, it's like, is it now? I saw it in the cinema, and my 2 fucking like overwhelming memories the fucking there's 3 actually. There's the lava-proof dog. There's the fucking big round trip to save grandma, who then just like gets tired of living and throws herself in the acid lake. And then the bit at the end where the dam breaks and it looked like they just poured a bowl of shredded wheat towards the camera. I imagine that was a very, very, very expensive special effect they did there. But to me, it looked like shredded wheat, like in milk, coming towards the camera. And I was like, cool. You know what I mean?
So, breakfast time.
I love the end of that film where they all get trapped in the mine, and then like, a year later the fucking rescue team digs them out or whatever, and they're like, oh, how did you survive? It's like, well, we tried to eat the dog, but its hide was too lava proof. Couldn't cook it.
Well, I mean, look, the fact that you've got like, high resistances against, heat damage doesn't mean you're, proof to bladed weapons. Like, it's not, it's not the same category. It's a whole different outfit.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Eat it raw?
Anyway, trying to drag us back into the movie. The most important thing you have to remember...
This is going to be the podcast equivalent, like World's Strongest Man. Like Rob just trying to haul a fucking fire engine down the street as I'm trying to drive in the other direction.
On the other hand, I might just like decide to chuck it in halfway through. Just like leave the two.
Yeah, give yourself over to the tornado.
Yeah. The two things I loved about this opening section were Chekhov's leverage, and the single piece of debris in the like airborne debris in the entire film, like.
Yeah.
As they're scrambling to hide, she gets cut on the leg by a blade of grass, and it's literally the only one. Like she's in that very tornado, screaming with her mouth open, facing the wind, and it's like, how are you not swallowing? Like, how are you not just full of wasps? Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's going on there? Like,
well, that injury is how she gets contaminated with the with the radioactive tornadoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, she should realistically when that guy gets like hoovered away, like, you know what I mean? Like, whoop, out he goes out the little fucking tiny hole on the side of the overpass.
I fucking love watching the people in this movie just getting whoop sucked off by the tornado, essentially.
Getting sucked off by a twister.
They all yearn for a go on the big sky ride, like, do you know what I mean? The whole film, people are just shouting like, "No, don't stand up straight in the tornado," and the guy's like, "I think I can stand up," and just away, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, she's screaming, and like by rights, like she should immediately look like a Guinness World Record photo for how much grass can you fit in your mouth.
We should actually talk about what they're trying.
It's like that picture of Homer Simpson with all the cigarettes in his mouth. It's like a bale of hay, essentially.
What we need to talk about though is the reason, or what they're trying to do.
I was trying to do
they are trying to figure out how to cast a spell to dispel a tornado.
This is part of my grand unified theory, is that in this movie, tornadoes are essentially demons who want you dead.
Yeah, so there were two working theories when me and my partner were watching this, and it was one, the radioactive tornado bite, and the other one is that she is like a nature witch of some description, and she is summoning the tornadoes.
See, my big theory was that, like, genuinely halfway through the film, because I turned it off halfway through, I was like, I need to do this in fucking shifts. It's driving me mad. But before I came back to the second half, it occurred to me, like, is the guy who, because there's the everyone dies in the tornado at the start apart from the fucking, you know what I mean, spider tornado woman.
Yeah, and, the tornado druid. Yeah,
and the fucking gadgie that's driving the van, like in the distance, who's like, you know, the radar bloke or whatever. Who is in charge of the one fucking like returning character from the first film, as far as I could tell, which is the barrel full of
jar. Yeah.
The big jar full of orbs that you throw into a tornado to look at it from the inside.
Yeah, the anti-tornado orbs, yeah.
But my big theory was...
But they get the orbs at the wrong angle, and therefore it doesn't work, or some bullshit.
No, he's got the orbs to throw up in, like, you know, like Bill Paxton, Bill Pac-Man, Bill fucking...
Cosby,
Bill...
yeah.
I can't remember which Bill it was in the first one. Was it Paxton or the other guy?
It's
Bill Pullman.
See, I haven't actually seen the first one.
Are you sure it's got Bill Pullman in it? All I remember about the first one is Cary Elwes is the villain, and he gets hoovered off the face of God's earth by an angry tornado as punishment for the sin of like doing science or something. Because I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I'm pretty sure the plot of the first one is essentially the same as this one, which is that like doing science with a hat on is a sin against God. What you should do is just like drive around and go yeehaw and like just throw things into tornadoes, and that'll like
in this movie, and again this will come back in my grand unified theory. You have to do both. You have to go yeehaw and do science, but also critically, you do have to wear the hat, because otherwise you're just like you're like a tornado druid, and you're not like a tornado barbarian, which is like the other class you need to like defeat one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is also where we learn that, or just I suppose after this scene ends, that like this introductory scene ends. This is where we learn that the T in PTSD stands for tornado.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, like the guy, the guy from Miami is gonna, like, Mr. Worldwide is just gonna throw like
Milo Edwards.
Yeah, yeah. He's going to throw orbs into the tornado to look at it. They're like
Miami Milo, yeah.
Yeah, they're selfie orbs to photograph the tornado's hole. And then, like, what she's firing into what like Madam Web. Madam Web is firing, like, whey powder into the tornado to make it less hench or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is also, yeah, so...
Halfway through...
I just want to clarify for the listener, if you haven't seen this film, this guy is the spitting fucking image of Milo Edwards from Transfuture. It is uncanny.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
Halfway through, I thought, right, oh yeah, so what happened at the start was she fired all of this protein powder into the fucking tornado, and it accidentally made it hench instead of, because they go like, oh no, it's bigger than it should have been, and I thought, oh, halfway through I was like,
oh, it's got too much creatine. Yeah.
Wait, are they going to say that like her protein powder made the tornado bigger, and then like fucking, you know what I mean? Miami boy has like stolen her formula and is making the tornadoes more hench deliberately, so that his fucking like backer who financed him and is buying everyone's land after the house blows away can like steal more land or something. And that would have been that would honestly
that would have been
more
that would have been fascinating.
If someone had a weather machine like from fucking, you know what I mean? If it had turned out like one guy had built a weather machine and was like fucking causing chaos, and like she had developed like fucking, do you know what I mean? Like
weather antidote
bears or something. The fucking
anyway, but Jesus Christ, you've just like wheeled through 90% of my notes. Fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Also, maybe don't wear shorts when you're chasing tornadoes. Maybe wear like, I don't know, at least
a suit of armor.
At least like. Maybe at least, you know, like a long short, you know?
A fucking, like a diving bell. Just like wheel yourself around in a giant cast iron Dalek so you don't blow away.
I mean, yeah. I mean, ultimately, yes. But, you know, just slightly longer leg clothing would probably be... and I don't mean this in like a prudish sense, but in the sense of like, I mean, fucking
I do.
Multiple hundred...
This shit was unseemly.
Yeah, the tornado had enough of low-rise jeans, cleavage exposing t-shirts, and was like, that's enough.
Tornadoes are Victorian by nature. You can't show them ankle or they just get out of hand.
Yeah, they'll give you like a 1 foot long gash on your thigh.
As a permanent reminder to like, you know, obey the school uniform regulations.
But I can't stress enough how that is the single piece of like fucking like debris that damages anyone in the whole film. The rest of the time, people just
there's
get
a bit
stolen.
with the chicken later that like is very funny, but
does that kill? No, but like she gets
cut
by a single blade of grass, and then for the rest of the film, you've got like CGI dirt flying past the camera, but nobody gets hit by anything but water.
No, this is true. Either you're completely fine. Like, or you know, and your hair's a bit mussed, or you just like
you get raptured.
Dysoned.
Yeah. Should we move on to the like New York bit?
Yeah, I want it because so essentially because all her friends are now dead.
One with the tornado.
She can't handle the trauma. Kate has moved on to work in, I don't know, the weather office of New York City, where you know there are no storms and
the New York
things
Mets
don't go
office.
wrong.
That's a good joke, that one. Like, yeah, I'll take the rest of the night off if you don't mind. Like, I think I filled my quarter.
All right, bye. Yeah, and we see that like she's not over the trauma of having like, you know, most of the Scooby Gang being raptured, because you know she keeps getting phone calls from home, but she doesn't pick up because, you know, residual trauma and whatnot. But she's still like, she has not lost like her weather druid powers, and she gets the call to avenge her from Miami Milo, because he's a troop, but and he wants her to become a troop for the weather as well, because for some fucking reason, like the U.S. military has just like given him like an armful of very fancy radars that if you like
the U.S.
paste
military
them on the side of a
Who doesn't steal things from work? Let's be honest.
Yeah, the U.S. military wants to know what the weak point of a tornado is, so that they can, you know, direct where to direct their small arms fire.
Donald Trump wants just itching for an excuse to use nukes. Do you know what I mean? One guy somewhere wrote a sci-fi novel where, like, fucking, you know what I mean, Earth uses nukes to stop super tornadoes or something. Donald Trump's like, "I want to do that. Let's do that. Can we do that?" You know what I mean? People just fucking chasing him, like throwing fucking hamburgers at him to keep him away from the fucking nuclear football every time it rains. Like,
but anyway, so Miami Milo shows up and he's like, look, it's the most twister year that's ever been twisted, and you have to come down because we have all these military radars, and with them we can,
Chubby Checker is popping off.
It was sort of so Miami Milo's got all the radars that he's stolen from the US military. And it was around this time, he's explaining the fucking, we just got to know what's going on in there. I'm like, if climate change doesn't come up in this fucking movie, I'm gonna shit. And
it does not.
Dear listener,
nope.
would it surprise you to believe that I had to change my underwear afterwards?
Actually, her mom mentions that like there's more and more storms nowadays. That's as close as you get to it. Like a mention of climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
apparently this was like
just getting stronger.
Apparently this was like a deliberate choice by the studio, I think.
Well, I mean, obviously, because you mentioned climate change, like the film as it is like, you know what I mean, is like Spielbergian middle of the road feel good pap that like anyone can watch. If you say the words climate change in the middle of it, America will burn.
Yeah, apparently the director, when asked about this, well, he said, we want to make sure that we never create a feeling that we're preaching a message. So you don't even have to preach. You could just acknowledge like the reality of, shit that's going on. It's just
the fucking meme of the guy looking at the movie poster, and it's like the arrow going into his face. Climate change is causing worse tornadoes, and then over the top, wow, cool tornado.
No, the tornadoes are the worst. It's the worst year for tornadoes we've ever had because some idiot is firing fucking like protein powder into them on the regular.
Yeah.
And what you need is an all-American manly man who will shoot fireworks into a tornado just for a laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually really liked the YouTube gang who turn up.
Yeah, the Scooby gang. Yeah, the alternate Scooby gang, the TikTok gang, whatever. They're pretty good.
The Ubi gang. But yeah, they were great because it's like, what if we got a bunch of dipshits who just want to drive into a tornado and like to see what it looks like from the inside? And I'm like, now that's my kind of science. Do you know what I mean? Like,
anyway, but
people,
right before
people
we
rely
do that,
too much on theory and simulation these days. Science was much better when it was a guy who was just like, what if I drank paint for a week and saw what happened? Do you know what I mean? Like, bring back the 1800s. I want opium from the doctor for a fucking, like, you know what I mean? A mild like case of the fainting or something like that.
Yeah, we need aristocrat chemists drinking like unconscionable amount of piss once again to figure out what phosphorus is.
Yeah. Do you know what
now
I mean?
The only time people still do this is like if Mr. Beast gives them like a quarter of a penny or something in exchange for drinking piss for a month. It's not the same thing.
I stuck 100 people in this mutant tornado. Watch what you won't believe what happens next.
Yeah, I want to be able to just go to the corner shop and buy like fucking like class A drugs. You know what I mean? Because like they're out of toothpaste and they're like, we haven't got any toothpaste, but we do have some like fucking heroin. Do you want some of that? And I'll be like, yeah, that'll probably do the job.
Yeah.
Cowboys just had it like Cowboys had it figured out. You know what I mean? Like, what if we just like, do you know what I mean? Rode around in the fucking open plains, shot at each other, and did drugs. That's
and then just rolled into the chemist and said, "Can I have some sarsaparilla, a bag of cocaine?" And now I'm off to the saloon to like get gangrene while playing knifey stabby handy, or whatever that game is called in Red Dead Redemption. I'm very bad at.
It's knifey stabby handy.
Yeah, I got it in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's one more thing I wanted to mention before, Kate does obviously, accept the call to adventure, is that in this scene, Kate is wearing
embraces her tornado-y powers.
Yes, she's wearing like New York outfit. She's wearing like, a cleanly pressed white. Yeah, the hair is made nice. Like she's wearing a blue and white striped shirt. She's looking very, urbane and professional. And as this movie gets along and as she embraces more of her fucking tornado druid powers, her outfit starts becoming incredibly down home on the range, and it's very fucking funny when you start noticing it.
Yeah, well, it's because every tornado raid boss she like defeats, she you know what I mean, wins a new piece of armor.
Yeah, she gets a tornado token to spend at the vendor. Anyway, this is now so obviously we're off we fuck to Oklahoma and Tornado Alley, and this is the first introduction of many of relevant country music that keeps blaring throughout the fucking movie.
By the end of this film, I couldn't work out if the budget for the music for this movie was too much or too little.
It's certainly
can't
been
take the
spent
home out of Oklahoma or some shit. That was
Yeah.
what I learned.
And Harvey explains that he's got like all these military scanners and
Harvey's Miami Milo for the
Milo.
following along
Sorry,
at home.
Milo explains that like he has all this kit and he has this entire team because he's being paid by land developers, because if they know where the tornadoes are coming, that'll be really helpful for them to know where not to put a housing estate.
We're not going to do anything about the causes of tornadoes. No, because that's not the premise of this movie. But we got to get all these expensive sensors to tell building developers just how fucked an estate is.
Yeah. You need
also, like, it clearly doesn't work because people have put down like entire fucking neighborhoods in the path of, you know, a series of tornadoes. So like I don't really understand.
I just wouldn't build my like shitty little fucking like cardboard town in the middle of a place called Tornado Alley if I was a developer. But you know, maybe there's a fucking really good ore spawn underneath there or something, and everyone really likes that spot. But yeah, you've got to go out and you've got to put 3 stolen radars from the army in like a triangle around the tornado, so you can get like a really good like 3-dimensional scan of it, which was the entire point of the first film and the bucket of like fucking, you know what I mean?
Of orbs. Yeah. Anyway, but before we're off to like wrangle tornadoes properly, we have to introduce the Yuppie gang with more Kid Rock, like essentially like fucking country rock blaring shithouse music. And it's Glenn...
right? Like the music in this is dreadful, but it's not fucking Kid Rock. Let's like, do you know what I mean?
No, but the introduction to the Yuppie gang
if it was
is pretty
Kid Rock,
fucking
I'd
close.
have absolutely flipped the fucking table over halfway through. Do you know what I mean?
And here we're introduced to our male lead. It's Glenn Powell, who was in Top Gun Maverick and a movie called Hit-Man. Not, you know, to be related with a famous franchise. And some other shit that I can't
see
remember.
What it is, right? If you watched Top Gun 2 Topper Gun, and you wondered like, who's that fucking guy with the giant head that they keep showing me on the screen as if I'm supposed to remember who he is or care? That's apparently this guy.
Yeah, he's like sort of 40% like sharp chin and 60% abs, and that's kind of his deal.
Yeah, I actually like, you know what I mean? I actually didn't hate him in this film. I
didn't hate him in
a single
fucking Top Gun either.
thing he did in Top Gun. Like, was he the one that got shot down at the end? Or I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I just don't. I don't remember. I when I saw him in this, I was like, no, yeah, I can see him in the briefing room, like sort of smirking at something Tom Cruise has said, but I've genuinely no idea who the fuck he was. Like,
well, that's his whole role in that movie, is to be the smirking man in the Top Gun movie, in the second Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
That's what he.
But
like
he. It's definitely a case of they're trying to force a new movie, like a new fucking matinee star on with. You know what I mean? You just get that vibe off him. Like,
oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, 100%, yeah.
Like in the other candidate film that we didn't do for this, which was like fucking, you know what I mean? Jesus wants you to jump off this roof, and that's why he's bad.
We may still do that. That's not off the list.
I know we should. But anyway, yeah. We'll not tell anyone what that's called. They can figure it out for themselves.
Mr. Police left you all the clues.
but yeah, we were talking about how the guy in that they tried to force to be a fucking leading man, despite the fact he's got 0 fucking charisma. And then we also mentioned, I think Sam Worthington was another fucking case where it's like Sam Worthington's not terrible as an actor.
No, he's alright.
He's
like, it's not the worst.
He's not a fucking leading man, though. Do you know what I mean? He can't carry a film, but they kept putting him in stuff as the main guy, and everyone was just sort of like, sorry, why is he there? Isn't Christian Bale in this? Do you know what I mean? Like. And I think that's what they're trying to do with fucking like Glenn, what's his name here? But
Glenn Powell.
Yeah.
They also
and the reason, but he is not like he is, and I like very emphatically, he is not, you know, like the sort of clean-cut, well-organized scientistician man that are, that fucking Miami Milo and Kate the Tornado Druid are running with. Like, the UB gang is much more like sort of, ramshackle, fun-loving. And the way that you know this is they sell shirts with his head on it, and, they drink beers out of tins. And he wears a gigantic fucking, perfectly white cowboy hat half the time. And every time I see it, it makes me laugh so fucking much. Because it's like, for a man who spends his life driving literally into tornadoes just to see what happens when you're inside one, that hat has never seen a speck of dirt, and it's so fucking funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if personally, if I was gonna drive into a tornado, I wouldn't dress like Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard, but that's just me. I was gonna say, on the subject of like trying to force like fucking fetch to happen with like movie stars. I don't know if anyone remembers, but just before like fucking The Witcher ended up in Superman, what's he called? The Warhammer 40k nerd.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Yes, just before Henry Cavill turned up in like fucking got cast in Superman. He was in. They were pushing like there was a brief wave of hype for some piece of shit like spy thriller he did like set in Rome or something with
what the Man from Uncle remake with Armie Hammer.
No, not that. Like this is like just before that, before he was like a big name. It's a thing Hollywood does where they go, this guy's got action hero potential. We should take him to Europe, film a chatty fucking spy film with some guy you remember from the 90s. So I can't remember if it was Bruce Willis or Kevin Costner or like fucking Michael Keaton, but he was in a film with some fucking guy from the 90s where they just ran around Rome doing car chases or something, and they buried it immediately as soon as he like actually became Superman, because they were like, wait, well, no one needs to see that now. I don't even remember what it was called, but you just get that occasionally, like, they dig up like fucking Clint Eastwood's son and they go like, you should put him in a like shitty European spy thriller with some guy you remember from the olden days, and we'll see how that goes. Like, it's basically the only reason Mel Gibson still gets work, They just put him in a film if they're trying to launch an action star. Like...
Do you mean a movie called The Cold Light of Day with Bruce Willis in it?
I might.
But that's in... Oh, it's in Spain.
Is it in Spain? All right, well, okay.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I haven't seen it. I just remember... I remember, like, it being sort of like, oh, there's this film with, like, the guy, and then they just went, no, get rid of that. You know what I mean? So, you don't need it anymore. You're Superman now. He's famous enough.
Anyway, now that we've introduced the UB gang, we've introduced the Science gang run by Miami Milo. We've got, and then like just to show that like her powers are like fucking vibing, because they all have to like now run after tornadoes. Glenn Powell and his gang, because they do. Yes, this is where I wanted to go. She does.
She augurs the tornado with a dandelion.
Yeah, they do the sweeping, like from under to above while turning the camera at Michael Bay shot. But while she's doing druid magic with a puffball and dramatic piano music, because she's not quite down home on the range yet, so she doesn't yet get country music.
Yeah.
Oh,
my notes just say Kate equals possible witch ?
Yeah. From your description of that there, Rob, it sounds like she's actually playing the piano music herself as part of the process, which I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the last person we need to
Baldur's Gate 3 where fucking Raphael sings his own theme tune.
Oh man, that's such a good bit though.
It fucking whips though, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
One of the greatest moment in gaming history, frankly,
Yeah, I mean,
it is a good song, yeah. Anyway, right before we start the adventures and we start driving towards and into tornadoes, as you like, there's also a effete and unprepared British reporter who is there to do a story on the UB gang, but he immediately gets entranced by the druid and by Kate being able to.
You know what I mean? If like some fucking newspaper sent you to America to like, you know what I mean, talk to some fucking dipshit dressed like Boss Hogg because he drives a truck the size of a small house through a fucking tornado for YouTube, and you were like, well, I suppose so. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then you see someone who's actually like, got magic powers, you'd go, actually, I think I might have found a more interesting story over here. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cowboys versus witches. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the American Midwest.
Anyway, so we have our first tornado chase because Team Science wants to do the triple radar threat. And Team Yubi just wants to do some YouTube shit, essentially, by driving into the tornado and shooting fireworks up into it.
Anyway, firing fireworks into the tornado, whipping your dicks out, things of this nature.
Yeah, as it turns out, Kate is still massively traumatized from the last time they did this, and like most of her friends died. So she runs away from the tornado, and the British journalist is a coward, basically. Because he doesn't like being in the middle of the tornado and ends up throwing up afterwards. And then we get like back in the motel in the evening. Kate is still dressed in New York wear, basically. So at this point, she's still a literal clean shirt. We get a very.
Is this the bit where we see all the fucking because it's the three of the trucks for the for Milo and Kate are driving around trying to put the little radar things next to the tornado, and all the fucking radars have stupid names referencing the Wizard of Oz, which runs throughout this film, and I'm led to believe the previous film as well, which is extremely annoying.
The big jar with all the fucking orbs in
protein,
it is called Dorothy.
Yeah. What, Tin Man, Scarecrow, and fucking whatever. Less said about this, the better, to be honest.
Wizard? I'm sure at some point someone says, like, wizard fucking, do you know what I mean? Come over
She is
here
the wizard. She is the wizard. She is the wizard in this story. Like, it's the only way this makes any fucking sense.
Right,
no,
so...
I think at the end when Milo ditches the fucking, like, evil guy at the side of the road in the path of a tornado, which...
yeah, he's fucking dead, by the way.
Doesn't the evil guy go like fucking wizard? We need you over here to fucking do you know what I mean? Put the radar down or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've had our first tornado chase. It's been very eventful, and now we get a very subtle scene with Miami Milo because he's talking to his investor, who turns out to be an evil real estate man.
Yeah, they go to that little town, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go. So Kate yells at Milo, saying, "Oh, we've got to help people. We've got to go help the people that the tornado's gonna ruin their lives." And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. And they go there, and do you know what the sum total of the help that they give these poor people from this destroyed town is? They give a single woman 2 binders, and that's it. and then they get caught up in how annoying the YouTube guys are,
and we find out that the YouTube gang are actually doing socialism because she makes a crack about them fucking, you know what I mean, the one of the YouTube gang offers her food and she's like, no, I haven't got any money, and they're like, it's free, what do you think we sell all these t-shirts for? And she's like, oh my god, socialism works.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? That's the real lesson America should take away from this.
Exactly. And the other lesson being, what do you think patreon.com/praxiscast is for?
And now a word from our sponsors.
Everything
is fucking expensive.
Subscribe to Praxiscast at patreon.com/Praxiscast.
Anyway,
I think we need to get a rig along because we've got 3/4 of this fucking.
Yeah, I mean, look, the second half is like.
And I haven't even told you about fucking the pills Harrison Ford takes to turn him into the Hulk.
Well, we'll get there when we get there.
The pills have slow release gamma radiation inside them. Which, I'm not a scientist, but that seems impractical to me. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you can take radiation in pill form.
Of course you can.
Anyway, the end of that film, he turns into a red Hulk, and some during a press conference in the Rose Garden, and one of the reporters goes, "I thought they were green," and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean they? There was only one Hulk before this.
No, they made movie of the She-Hulk or a TV show of the She-Hulk as well.
Oh fuck yeah! Right, okay, I forgot about that. Right. All right, my bad. I'm sorry, random fucking reporter in the Rose Garden. You know what I mean? You were right. They usually are green. What's incredible about that film is, right? Does anyone remember the Edward Norton Hulk film from 2008? Holy shit! Right? Okay. Well, you two have got me beat. you fucking nerds, because I barely remember it. But like, I don't even know if I've seen it. But the problem they have with that is they didn't do anything with that because Edward Norton apparently like was a dick to work with for them. Which, like, why would you not be a dick to Marvel? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I would take like the gigantic paycheck and then just like I'd be really nice to the crew, but like to anyone on like
apparently Edward Norton like didn't, you know what I mean? They were like, "Do you want to come back and do another 6 films?" And Edward Norton was like, "Not unless I get to like fucking make notes on the script." And they were like, "No, you can't make notes on the fucking script, Edward. Like, this isn't fucking art we're making here." Do you know what I mean? So they got Mark Ruffalo, who's a lot less picky, and honestly, for my money, more charismatic. Sorry, Edward Norton, but you know what I mean.
I think this is like that thing in the latter fucking Bourne movies where I think like what's his name, Matt Damon literally demanded that there was at least one scene where he could do some fucking acting, and they were like, "Well, shit, you're Jason Bourne, so now we can't say no to you."
But yeah, anyway, the problem they've got is no one remembers that fucking film. And also nobody watched the Eternals, I think it was called, the one that had that dipshit from Game of Thrones in.
No, I will not be even not remembering.
Yeah, I haven't seen that shit. Do you know what I mean? Who the fuck's gonna watch that? But the film, like the fucking Captain America fights Han Solo film, is a direct sequel to both of those films. Like, who the fuck thought they wanted to make a like carry on? They finally like pay off the post-credit scene from 2008, The Incredible Hulk, in 2025, but no one remembers it. But they got fucking Tim Blake Nelson back to be the villain, and like fucking Liv Tyler turns up as fucking Betty fucking Crocker or whatever the fuck the Hulk's girlfriend's called. They couldn't actually get the Hulk back. Do you know what I mean? The budget didn't stretch that far, but they got all the supporting cast, and like it's great because like the fucking Harrison Ford's like fucking playing General Ross, which is Betty Ross's dad, and the whole film is about how like he's president now. Because he won a contentious election, like, ripped from the headlines, etc.
Ooh, yeah. Do they then dare go anywhere with it, or do they just fucking leave that on the cutting room floor afterwards?
They just leave that there, yeah. And like, he's estranged from his daughter because like he shot at the Hulk, and that was her boyfriend. So like, you know, she won't speak to him, and then he turns into a Hulk at the end. And there was a bit like in the middle about how like he actually speaks to her because he nearly dies or something, and then he speaks to her and talks about, remember when we used to go and stand by the fucking cherry blossoms on such and such road, and then when he turns into the Red Hulk, the fucking like Captain America like kites him to that road, and you're like, all right, okay, I see what's going to happen here. His daughter's going to turn up, and then like she doesn't. Like Captain America just goes, like, why don't we just? Captain America genuinely just goes, why don't we just calm down? And he calms down. And it's like, wow, why did no one ever think of that before? You know what I mean? But I thought, all right, okay, Liv Tyler obviously wasn't up to a fucking actual appearance. But then she turns up at the end, and I'm like, why the fuck would you not just get her in that scene? Do you know what I mean? It's just bizarre, like, but, you know, I guess she's allergic to green screens. I'm only appearing in your film if I get to stand on an actual set.
Right.
That's the rule.
Anyway, let's try. I've got to fucking drag its moves back into like, you know, the actual Twisters thing that we were supposed to be talking about.
If this episode ends up being longer than the fucking movie, which was, by the way, dear listener, 2 fucking hours long.
Yeah, you could have skipped at least one Twister. Like, honestly. You didn't need 5 or 6 or however many of them.
Yeah, well, the one thing that the characters in this movie don't seem to understand is if you've seen one CGI Twister, you've seen them fucking all. Yes. You don't need 3 obnoxiously named radar devices you've stolen from the US military to understand what's going on in there. Because I can tell wind go fast.
Yeah, but imagine though, in the like the universe of this film, right? There's a bunch of fucking like soldiers getting like ripped to pieces in the Middle East because they don't have their 3 radars that they like needed for the mission. They're all just dying in like a hail of gunfire, and that's good. You know what I mean? Like, this film's important messages are like fucking socialism works and fuck the troops.
Yeah.
And yay, cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
who isn't gay for cowboys? Quite frankly, like, do you know what I mean? I know I certainly am.
I know I am, and so's my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm only gay for cowboys if they only have a big bag of legal heroin with them when they come across. Anyway, Kate is like slowly adjusting back into her natural milieu because she's got the leather jacket on and she gets a country ass intro music. So like, you know, she's going native again, going bamboo as George Orwell would call it.
That's the thing, like the fucking, like, you know what I mean, like Quick Draw McGraw, whatever the fuck he's called, is I genuinely didn't get his fucking, was it like Taylor or something, or
Tyler something rather.
Oh, Tyler, yeah, it's like Tyler Taylor or something like that, innit? You know what I mean? Like Tyler James Taylor or something.
Yeah, Bing Bong
like
the Cowboy.
Yeah, but like fucking he takes it to a rodeo.
Imaginary friend from Inside Out.
He takes her to a rodeo. Because he's calling her city girl because she was wearing. Like,
yeah.
And she
takes
her to a rodeo, and she actually tells him it's not my first rodeo because like I grew up on a farm, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? This is how you write. This is how you write with real people interacting.
Yeah, because essentially this is where I wanted to get to, like my thesis of the movie is like essentially what happens is like because she's now more down home and like, you know, part of the heartlands again. You know, he takes her to the rodeo, and the opening shot of the rodeo is them literally singing the fucking, you know, national song, the anthem of America. And then, as you say, like she starts talking, you know, down home, you know, Oklahoma country
anthem,
style.
That anthem is kind of shit, and it like, you know what I mean. It's definitely not as good as the Gorman anthem. I think we can all agree
should switch it for the Gorman anthem. But anyway, but before we get fucking sidetracked again, so my grand unified theory of this movie is that this is, weirdly enough, this is not like a 2020s era movie, even though they want it to be, because like it does at least suggest that, like, you know, being on the coast and being in like sort of a gay liberal city like New York kind of like weakens your powers, and you have to like come home and like, you know, become with the country music again to get your true
embrace
powers.
your tornado-y destiny.
Yeah, but what this is, and what it strongly reminded me of, is like there were a bunch of movies made in the post 9/11 George W. Bush era, where they were all like this as well, where like, you know, the true strength of America is in the heartland, and, you know, in order to become yourself, you have to go home again, and all that shit, right? This is a George W. Bush ass era movie.
True.
Anyway, so like my grand unified theory of this is like in some ways this movie should have come out in 2006. And it would have made more sense. I mean, they're doing the sort of same thing. Like, I think part of the reason they're not talking about climate change is they want this to be like a hit with like fucking Hicks in Oklahoma, and you can't talk about climate change because Trump. So they've cut that all out, and they've made this movie to sort of do the same thing again, but it's not quite the same, doesn't have the same effect, basically. And I think that's also why you have all this like shithouse country music and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, like Jamie says, sort of like a middle of the road sort of, you know, just pablum movie where it's like, oh yes, the real tornado was friendship or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, shout outs to all of those things American: rodeos, small arms fire, military hardware, and cars and trucks. Like, you know, it's got all the greats.
What I will say is it's like much more restrained than most of this kind of film, because like you know what I mean? It is very like, well, you know, the power of friendship will see us through, and like, oh yeah, like fucking property developers are evil, which they are, right? You know, do you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing Hollywood is generally pretty good about most of the time. Like, not even fucking, you know what I mean? Not even the worst liberal screenwriters can bring themselves to say landlords are good, but not yet anyway. Like, but all of that. But then, you know what I mean? Like, I made a joke about fucking Milo, like just leaving that guy at the side of the road in the path of a tornado. But the film kind of like the kind of film, I guess the intent of that scene is that he's not in the path of the tornado, because it's never remarked upon again. And it isn't played like, oh yeah, you're going to get what you deserve or anything like that. Whereas like I say, in the original Twister, like fucking Carrie Elwes gets raptured by a fucking tornado, and I think like a cow smashes into his car and kills him instantly or something. And you get a shot of him like in the air going like, no, I regret everything, and all. You know, that's he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy, even though he's only guilty of like science and money. He still has to like die a horrible death, right? Like, and then at the end, you don't get that in this. Do you know what I mean? It's
no,
like
here the only like person of genuine evil who gets sucked up into a tornado because he doesn't believe in demons is the guy who's about to leave like a shitty Yelp review at the motel he's staying at.
Yeah, but that's just like the fucking, you know what I mean? That's the fact that no one in this film like can fucking do what they're told. You know, like guy runs into the motel and goes like, "This fucking tornado warning's going. It's time for everyone to get in the basement because I'm a tornado expert and I know they hate being underground." And everyone's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna get in my car and drive straight at it." Do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, cool. And then we'll hide in the swimming pool.
Every time someone gets
ground.
raptured by a tornado, it's fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, like so they all go out. They all go outside the motel because there's no basement or whatever. They go into the swimming pool and they all jump into the empty swimming pool. But one of the guys gets sucked up by a tornado and turned into a truck.
It's the motel assistant. He gets raptured.
Yeah. And then there's
the
other guy.
The other guy's like crawling along the bottom of the pool, going like, "Fucking stay down!" And he's like, "No, I think I can stand up." And he gets blown down to the other end of the pool, and then still doesn't learn his lesson. He immediately tries to stand up again. It's like.
Although, is it like a vending machine as well that gets dropped in the
they drop a vending machine and a truck in
like,
there.
Help! I've got my arm stuck in the vending machine trying to get a bag of crisps. Enjoyed that.
That's a good way to protect yourself in a tornado, though, is to hold onto the can.
Anyway, this tornado, after the demon has like essentially threatened America, has now once again traumatized Kate. And the reason that you know she's traumatized is that the music switches to sad cello music, and she flees back home because now the first time she has to overcome her fears, hero's journey, la-di-da. And while she's driving home, the lyrics of the fucking sad country music that plays literally include the lines, "I can't run from me, can't take my home out of Oklahoma." And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is so subtle. I wonder what's going on here.
If you fired enough protein powder into a tornado and made it big enough, you could take your home out of Oklahoma.
This is true.
Have we? Is it so?
It's driving a truck full of raw liver into the tornado.
Kate has a confrontation with Milo at some point. I think that's just before she leaves.
Just before she goes.
Yeah, about working for the property developer.
That's fucking great because she throughout the whole film she's just like, oh cool, he's just got all these like military radars for some reason. Oh, that's very handy. Like no questions asked. And then at this point,
he's just talking to everyone whose house has been destroyed about land prices. Like you must just be interested in that,
Yeah, like I'd no idea that someone who works for the military could be an asshole. So in this like confrontation scene, which is like halfway through the fucking movie, she's like, "Oh my god, you're a capitalist," and he's always going on about his investors and like his shareholders or whatever the fuck. Really good with weather. Terrible.
Well, he also it's fantastic because he turns it around on her as well. He's like, "I would have done this the noble way with science grants, but then you had to get all our friends sucked off by a tornado, so now I have to do it the evil way. Fuck you."
Also, we do live in America, so write that down.
Yeah, but Kate's now gone home, and this is where she completes her transformation because she's now wearing a faded Pat Benatar t-shirt and a green jacket with like cut up parts of the American flag on the back, and I'm rolling around on the floor laughing at this point. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, she's embraced her tornado-y powers and is now going
exactly.
To use them for evil.
Yeah, because now she's finally completed her class set of fucking being the tornado druid, and now we have to be on the upswing because now
plus 7 tornadoes for wearing the full set. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because she has to because it turns out that what's his face, Glenn Powell, Tyrone Tyrell is not just like a YouTube guy. He's actually like a big tornado scientist as well, and so between the two of them they have enough like mystical knowledge to maybe not pour creatine into the tornado but add some other juice that would make the tornadoes go away, I should say.
Did you just say tomatoes?
I haven't slept well for a week.
You sounded like a Texan making a salad.
Well, we're leaving it in. My brain is just like
Yeah, I mean this this movie will turn your brain to like a fine paste.
Yeah. Anyway, her mum, because like her mum's forgiven her because now she's come home.
She breaks into her own house.
Yeah, yeah. Which in Oklahoma wouldn't at all get you like fucking shot, basically. Yeah. So anyway, at some point, Glenn Powell and her mum are having breakfast or dinner or something, and her mum is telling fun stories from her past, including the dialogue. All I'm saying is she always loved weather.
Some people just have a really intense, devoted special interest in a certain subject, and in this family that's normal.
Yeah, so two of the three pieces are now in place. Like she knows with fucking Tyler, the YouTube guy, that like she has to shoot rockets with, I don't know, something rubber before she does the creatine. But all she needs now is like the best possible model, which of course Miami Milo has with his military radar equipment. So they get that from him, and then by
the power of simply asking for it.
Yes, and now they meet. It's time to meet the end boss. Because the biggest tornado in the history of the world is seen, and it rips through like an oil refinery or something and becomes a fire tornado.
Oh, are we just skipping over the little, model village that she made with a big fan and like a mist sprayer?
Oh right, yeah. She built her own tornado for the school science fair or something.
Yeah, in the frankly enormous garage barn thing that she's got at home, she has like a little town that she has installed. I mean, it's basically a sprinkler with like on top with a fan under, for some reason, like underneath the buildings, the little matchstick buildings she's put together. And this is where I first began to hone my tornado powers after my.
They've got that massive barn on a mam's like fucking farm, and it's got like the tornado village thing in it, and a corner where she sits and does like all of her science, and 50 barrels of fucking like tornado protein powder. And I can only assume the farm is like in just terrible financial straits because they've got no barn space. You know what I mean? It's all just full of like stupid shit, and she hasn't been home for like 6 years to look at any of it either. And her mom's just like, "Well, I can't throw it out. You might need it. When are you going to save the world?" And it's like, I don't think like fucking making one tornado disappear would save the world, but that's not to say you shouldn't try. You should follow your dreams, Queen. Do you know what I mean? But like, maybe just...
Oh yeah, this is when they realise that protein powder on its own isn't going to cut it with dispelling a tornado. So they're gonna splice some extra tea in there as well, just to make doubly sure that the tornadoes.
Oh yeah, the like silver fucking night ride or whatever the fuck it is.
Silver iodide, which apparently they do, in fact, because I looked it up, use for cloud seeding.
They're gonna make the tornado wetter, and then like when it gets hench, it'll dissolve. That's how that works.
And me as a person who has looked at a molecule before, and like this whole scene.
I mean, we've all looked at a molecule before, really. Like, haven't we?
Not the way I.
At any level, I'm looking at a lot of molecules right now. If you really think about it,
that's right. Like, yeah. Wow, man.
So we're gonna use cloud seeding technology / testosterone to dispel the tornadoes.
Yeah, to dispel the weather demon.
Yeah. We're going to lay it all out in a big pentagram. Yeah. If you want to get ripped, you first of all have to start on testosterone. Second of all, pray to the devil.
Yeah. Because at this point, the Satan himself in tornado form is on its way to America again, because we see like a panning shot of the bestest small town that ever was in America. Because you can see a tram rolling through the middle. There's a farmer's market. There's a shot of a little league baseball game. This is like,
this is the most unbelievable part of the movie, because public transport in a small American town is fucking insane.
I love that, like, in the middle of tornado season, when they've had like 6 tornadoes a day for a week, they're setting up little fucking like gazebos in the main street. You know what I mean? It's like, that is the unfucking stoppable power of American optimism right there.
Well,
like, you know
yeah,
what
I mean,
you can see
there's
the tornado in the distance, and people are still putting tents up. It's like,
yeah,
go
they're
for it,
staring.
you know what I mean?
They're staring at a wall of wind that is like 3 feet in front of their face, and they're still, for some reason, yelling at no one in particular. 9 times out of 10, there's no tornado, but these people have the misfortune of being in a small American town in a film called Twisters.
Yeah, but it's mad because like you never actually see a fucking tornado shelter in the whole film, and like they go,
Yeah,
"Oh,
and
get
also
a member of
everybody
the-"
constantly needs to be reminded that there is a tornado coming, that they should seek shelter. I'm like, if you live in the region of the world known as Tornado Alley, surely when you're a small kid, you learn,
Yeah.
oh, I should probably,
But they never have shelters. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like you spend all the money. Did you spend all the money on sirens and not have anything left over to dig holes?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with it? Like the sirens are sounding just so that you know it's time to like fucking sign your will and bury it. Do you know what I mean? Like it just 5-minute warning for your time left on Earth. It's, you know what I mean? Like anything, if you want to take anything with you when you meet God, pick it up now. Like just. So anyway, yeah, they drive into the town and they're like fucking they're like having to fucking slap people's hands because they're trying to take the tent down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, just fucking leave it. The tornado's like 3 feet away. Like, you
Yeah,
know
the
what I mean?
people at the
Horses
farmers
and,
market are
horses
just
and
like, I'm
trees and
sorry,
shit.
I need this basket of peonies. I really need it before I leave.
Yeah, like horses and trees and fucking like fucking farmyard like scenery and shit just whipping past their heads, and they're desperately trying to take down a string of onions that they hung up. It's like absolutely wild. But then they don't have a tornado shelter, so everyone has to hide in a cinema. The least tornado-proof cinema in the world. I don't know why they picked that building. Like, I guess they'd be like, oh, it's got no windows, but like it's made out of fucking paper mache, so the tornado just rips it open.
Yeah.
The reason they have to
tornado-
shelter in a cinema is so that they can pull, the world's greatest bit of allegory. And right before the tornado rips through the actual movie screen, you see a shot of some 1930s version of Frankenstein, and the doctor says, "It's alive, alive!" And then at that point, the tornado comes ripping through the screen. So just so you get the subtlety of it.
To get to the juicy innards of the cinema.
Yeah, and all the lovely children.
I will say, having a clip from like a fucking ancient like monster film or whatever play in your fucking modern film is the most Spielberg part of this film. That definitely feels like something he would do. You know what I mean? Obviously, like it's not him doing it; it's the director, and he was just I don't know what executive producer does. I think executive producer is like, well, put my name on it, and then people will give you more money. I think that's what executive production is. If you're Steven Spielberg, maybe.
I think it also goes like, put my name on it, like in exchange for money. I think it's like both ways essentially.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he gets 1% of the fucking like back end or something. Like, but if you're Steven Spielberg, write in. You know what I mean? At Steven Spielberg at David on Blue Sky and tell him what you did for this film.
Anyway, Kate has now completed her transformation into the actual tornado druid, and she's got like her set bonus jacket on. So she drives into the middle of the tornado, and by the power of Grayskull and also friendship, she defeats the tornado literally mere feet from when it can get to like the delicious children sheltering inside the cinema.
It actually gets a couple of NPCs, but then it's trying to grab like the fucking woman
one of the Yubi gangs
crew. Yeah, and like she's being held onto by fucking Steve McGraw or whatever the fuck he's called, and like he's hanging on. He's like, they're all everyone's hanging onto the seats in the cinema as they're like dramatically being ripped from the floor, and it's like, oh no, will the seats like catch enough air to like fucking fly away, or will he manage to hang 10, or like, I don't know the lingo, but like he's hanging onto it, and then like the woman gets sucked away, and he grabs her at the last second, and he has to hang on to the fucking like seat in a hurricane by just hooking his foot.
He hooks his
like,
foot behind it.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you go, mate. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Steve McGraw,
definitely
the tornado dog.
Yeah. But yeah, like fucking, and then the tornado just immediately disappears, like, and that woman like gently lowers to the ground, as if on a wire that had been like painted out in like Photoshop.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose to just like throw strays at the fucking stunt team suddenly, like, do you know what I mean? But they know what they did.
No, they don't think they did a reasonable job. Like, I don't think it's,
No, yeah, like all those people getting raptured looked like they were having the time of their lives. I want to go in a tornado now.
To be fair, if you get raptured and like your general direction is up, you are quite like you are in the time having the time of your life.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like no, like fucking guy with a fucking like perfectly cubic jaw and a fucking like boss hog cowboy hat running towards me, and I'm like, no, don't catch me! I'm gonna fight God and just disappear up into the air.
Having a fist fight with the manifestation of the tornado in the middle of the tornado. That's why they needed all the radars to see what all the tornado manifestations moves were.
Yeah, you know the bit we mentioned where like the fucking it briefly becomes a fire tornado. That made me really wish Godzilla was in this film for some reason. I'd like something about the effect of like the fire in the cloud or something just made me think of Godzilla, and I was like, Godzilla would like I could go for some Godzilla right now. Do you know what I mean? Like that would be cool. They should make more Godzilla films that don't suck. That'd be a good business strategy for them, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie is just about over. The town is saved from the tornado demons, and then we get a final scene. What they actually don't do, which I was genuinely surprised by, is the two leads don't kiss. They don't make out.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say earlier, like when I was talking about like the restraint of not having like a guy like you know what I mean get hellraisered by a fucking like load of airborne straw or whatever to teach him a lesson about like fucking you know what I mean taking science too seriously is also like they don't have a fucking sweeping dramatic kiss at the end where the male lead has finally like won the female lead, which I thought was nice. I thought it was nice that they didn't fucking do that because like. I think we mentioned this at the end of Drop Zone, do you know what I mean? It's like it is possible for two people to meet and sort of like each other, but not like immediately get it on for the sake of like fucking Hollywood schedule, do you know what I mean? Like I thought that was good. Like let your female characters have agency.
Yeah. And essentially the end is like she goes back to Washington to get funding for more YouTube videos. She's probably going to go to like the Democratic Party and say we have a really popular brand that we can like, fucking promote Chuck Schumer.
Finally, a left-wing Joe Rogan.
Yeah, that's right, man. You know what I
mean? Yeah. We're going to drive this Democratic senator into the heart of a hurricane. Donate $5 to Act Blue.
We get an amusing bit at the airport where like fucking like do you know what I mean? Cowboy fucking Jim is parked out in the wrong zone, like you know the zone they made a zone at the airport,
the drop-off zone,
parking.
Yeah.
They're like, don't fucking park. Are you parked? Get the fuck out of here. Do you know what I mean? Just eject your passenger at 4 miles an hour as you roll past. If you stop that fucking car, some nerd in a high-vis jacket is going to come and argue with you.
That's not just some nerd. That's not just some nerd. That's the nerd from the league. That guy from like the league with the teeth.
Yeah, that guy from everything. He's in all sorts of shit over the years. Like I was like, yeah, nice to see a familiar face for once because I didn't recognize. I did recognize her mom. She was in something from the 90s.
Yeah, I vaguely recognize her as well. But
Primal Fear with Edward Norton. He's back again. He gets everywhere. That fucker, like, do you know what I mean? But she was in Primal Fear with Edward Norton and. We have to cut that joke, like, do you know what I mean? I'm gonna save David a job and just immediately say that one can come out, like.
The fucking Steve McGraw, the tornado dog, uses his special, you know, he deploys his truck so that it can't be towed, I guess. Which he also does earlier in the film.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's fucking anchor, and then you know what I mean? He uses it to survive 3 tornadoes, but that's just so you'll believe it when he drills into the fucking, like, tarmac at the airport, which I don't think it was built for, but...
No, and then also, like, he teleports inside the departure hall, and I'm like, between you drilling a hole, you know, like, in the fucking do not park here bit, and, like, making your way into the departure signs, how has security not shot you?
He's a cowboy. He's
the whitest man alive. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The fucking airport security, it's like the Predator, the airport security guns can't track him. Like, he's just too white to be shot by.
And to be fair, he's also a huge motherfucker. Like, I think you can shoot him, like, a couple times and, like, nothing would happen.
Yeah, he's like having a meet cute with her at the departure lounge where bullets are ricocheting off the back of his enormous head.
Yeah, and then she is going to get on the flight, but then the flight get cancelled because big storm, and they like look at each other essentially with like with yeehaw in their eyes.
Now that you mention how big he is, I want to see this. Like, how good would this film have been if his role had been played by the lad from fucking Jack Reacher? Do you know what I mean? Like, just like if the truck had to have like an extra foot of headspace on the top, you know?
Yeah, but that would have made the whole thing implausible because the fucking guy from Jack Reacher cannot be sucked, like cannot be raptured because he's too big.
The man from Jack Reacher cannot be sucked.
If you're the man from Jack Reacher and you find that you can be sucked, at David on Blue Sky.
Actually, you know what you should do? Make the account at the guy from Jack Reacher and then just DM David saying, I can be sucked often.
Oh, I feel like we've discovered an incredible new bit here. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, just you can't, he's standing in the middle of the tornado with his head poking out the top of it, but that's not as funny as he cannot be sucked.
I haven't invented a tornado big enough.
Solving cold cases. We paid this man $100,000 to solve cold cases inside a tornado. It was good to meet you. Fuck the both of you.
Oh, fucking hell.
And then the film, after 2 excruciating hours, mercifully ends.
It is too long. This deserved to be a tight 90. Like there's like 5 or 6 whole like twister sequences they could have cut 2.
Yeah, well, they paid for the CGI. Do you know what I mean? What were they going to do? Not use it?
That's true. It's not that bad CGI. I'll give it that.
I mean, no. The thing is that they pretty much sold tornado CGI in Twister in the 90s, so you know you'd expect it to be decent. Oh, actually, do you know what it is? Who like was Twister a Michael Crichton joint?
Yes.
As is this one, technically.
Wasn't it? Yeah. I fucking that just suddenly fucking wormed its way in there. You know what? Speaking of Michael Crichton joints, you know what we should do as a cultural committee is run away with Tom Selleck. Fucking love that film.
Don't even fucking remember that.
It's the one where like fucking it's the future and everyone has like shit 80s robots and Gene Simmons from Kiss is doing robot crime and only Tom Selleck as mustachioed cop can stop him. It's fucking amazing.
The poster looks fucking incredible. It looks like they've used some fucking air conditioning ducts wrapped around. Are we meant to have
finished the podcast by now? Like I feel like we're going off topic.
Gene Simmons is killing people with robot spiders that inject acid into your veins. And like, if you saw that film as a kid, like I did, we all saw it as kids, and we were like, "Oh fucking hell, that was terrifying." And then as adults, we were like, "Oh holy shit, remember that film with the terrifying robot spiders?" And then I will not like when you see the robot spiders as an adult, you just go, "Holy shit, children are idiots." Do you know what I mean? Like,
all I can tell you now, Jamie, is that the subtitle for in the German version of Runaway is "The Spiders of Death."
Nice. I mean that is fair. Do you know what I mean? Like they are spiders of death. I will give them that. Like, not for Gene Simmons, the fucking spiders of potential maiming. He saw that shit and he went like, no, we can do better.
Can we inject testosterone and protein powder into the veins of this episode so that it can mercifully end?
We can feed the episode. We can feed the episode a bunch of gamma radiation in pill form.
Yeah, it's slow release though.
I cannot stress enough that like you can tell immediately the first time you see him taking those pills that they are load bearing for the plot because like he's essentially eating Tic Tacs out of an old timey pocket watch. That's the best way to describe like the fucking, you know what I mean? And he keeps doing it throughout the film, and I'm like, well, those things are important, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that is like,
I hope you've enjoyed.
Size-wise, that's more efficient than like the little pill cases that just say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on. If you just get like a pocket watch. That's
Yeah.
that is
Do you know what I love? You know what I love is when the podcast's like drawn to a close and one member like does like the fucking the podcast equivalent of like turning the lights on in a nightclub. 2 a.m.
Yeah, listener, I hope you enjoyed this episode that was about the film Twisters and apparently some fucking Marvel movie for some reason.
Yeah.
The movie that we explicitly vetoed when we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, well, I fucking watched it, so you know what I mean? You get your money's worth.
It's leaving money on the table, Alistair.
Yeah.
Fucking
I'm
hell.
not sitting through that piss for no gain.
Jesus fucking. I mean, to be fair, it's like it's been raining here for 3 days, and now it's dried off. The humidity is sky high. So for me, this counts as a Heat Madness episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just dank in here. I'm sweating like a fucking bastard.
Yeah. Well, on that note, if you want more, like,
on that sweaty
content,
note, we draw this episode to a close.
If you inexplicably want more of this shit, then fucking buy a t-shirt.
Or to be fair, slightly
use it
more
to fund
structured
disaster
shit.
relief.
Yeah.
Actually, I
If you
shouldn't say that because we are absolutely not like funding disaster relief with our t-shirts. Maybe we should. And like, I suppose technically paying me counts as disaster relief.
Yeah, I'm glad you went there yourself. It's very helpful.
I'm going to spend the money on Swedish meatballs from IKEA, and nobody can fucking stop me.
Yeah, and if you want to contribute to Jamie's IKEA habit and also, various other habits of ours, and also genuinely keep this fucking podcast going, Patreon.com.
I know. We make a joke out of how often Rob like fucking yells at you to subscribe, but we do appreciate it as much as Rob's like clinically incapable of sounding like he appreciates it whenever he mentions fucking people who keep this job afloat. We do actually appreciate it, and we would like you to sign up. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that we can fire fucking like fireworks into Mr. Beast's tornado or something.
Yeah, and you can do this at patreon.com/praxiscast. You can buy.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah. You can buy our t-shirts, including the delightful and ever true "Hot the Summer on Record" t-shirt.
Yes, we're not unlike Steven fucking Spielberg, the hack cunt. We are not afraid to mention climate change. It's real and it's coming for you. And no amount of fucking like boss hog Stetsons will keep it at bay, motherfucker.
Exactly. Only fucking full communism will keep it at bay. So that's
right.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, go to praxiscast.tmail.com. And if you want more, I don't know, dwarf-related content, I guess, you can also catch the streaming on twitch.tv/praxiscast at, I don't know, 6:30 or something on Sundays.
Yeah, 6:30 normally.
Yeah, around then, and yeah, you can come, and it's basically essentially, if you've never seen Dwarf Fortress, it's essentially a massively complicated simulation game that recreates the end of Dante's Peak.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
See
bye.
ya.